Hi, everybody. I'm just introducing this video, which is the mainly live recording of our CommuniZoom on transforming beliefs. And by accident, we lost the first couple of minutes. So I just want to say our CommuniZooms are really a moment where we can cheer each other along as a community during this funny time, that we can remind each other of our NLP tools and skills and resources to keep ourselves and everybody else going. And in this particular one, my topic was transforming beliefs. And because at the same time, the Black Lives Matter movement and protests were happening, I used the idea of social and racial justice as one of my themes, as well as health. And so we're exploring beliefs both at the individual level and at the social level. And I hope you enjoy it. There's a nice exercise at the end about changing beliefs and transforming beliefs. Directs our actions and our choices, and directs our behaviors and our words. And that affects what actually happens in the world, of course, what we get. So in other words, to kind of reverse engineer back to our beliefs and our mindset is part of the process of this idea of transforming potentially limiting beliefs that are impeding our ability to perceive and experience what is actually more possible in the world. It's our filters and these kind of deep assumptions that are holding in place certain types of limitations and difficulties and obstacles for us. So, and very often these are completely outside of our awareness and outside of our consciousness. In fact, often our beliefs and assumptions are running us. It's not like we're not running our beliefs. It's like our beliefs are just running us. And we've picked up a lot of our working, functional beliefs just from the air we breathe. It's just like natural and normal to think the way that we do. It's very hard for us to question any of that and to surface out, as Peter Senge would say in the fifth discipline, you know, surfacing out these kind of beliefs and assumptions that we're holding that are directing our choices and actions in the world. So particularly, and I know those of you that have worked with Robert Dilts know that he sort of took Albert Bandura's work on self-efficacy and outcome efficacy, and he created this kind of list of essential beliefs. And so we'll be working with some of those, these kind of expectations. Do we think something is possible? Do we think we're capable? Do we think we deserve it? Do we think it's worthwhile? Can we take responsibility for something? Are the actions that we would need to do to achieve something, are they appropriate and ecological? So it's a wonderful little set of things. And if you want to know more about some of the work that Robert Dilts has done in beliefs, I do think he's the person who's done the best. The best book is this wonderful Sleight of Mouth book, which lays out everything in great, great detail, terrifically clear models and exposition of what is really, you know, a complex area. So I also want to mention at this point, you know, the great proof for mind-body effects on beliefs is obviously the placebo effect. This idea that, you know, you can take an inert kind of substance of something, and especially if it's given to you by a doctor in a white coat or even a person in a white coat with a stethoscope, it will start to, for many people in many situations, start to mobilize your natural inbuilt healing response to something. And so I think that's very interesting. There's a whole field called psychoneuroimmunology about this relationship between what we believe and like what then, you know, kind of becomes more possible because of these very intangible kind of beliefs that we're holding. And so we know that, so there's a lot of questions about how can we leverage this? How can we leverage the placebo effect so that it benefits us? And of course, there's also a nocebo effect, which is again, I know that a lot of you know there's a lot of research about expectations. I mean, in medicine, it's the expectation of very difficult side effects can literally, you know, cause people to have them more severely. But also social expectations. If we believe that people are not capable, they tend to underperform. There's a lot of research in children in schools. There's a lot of research about women, and there's a lot of research about, you know, people of color underperforming in certain kinds of fields of negative expectation for them, where they tap into those kind of universal fields of how they're disadvantaged, et cetera, before I start on the thing about race, in terms of the Bandura work about possibility and capability, I just want to briefly read you what President Obama has kind of said yesterday, which he says, because this is the movement is called Black Lives Matter. I'm sure everybody knows this. And he says, I want you to know that you matter. I want you to know that you matter. I want you to know that your lives matter, that your dreams matter. I see limitless potential for you to thrive and flourish. I've misread that because I can't. Oh, I see limitless potential that deserves to flourish and thrive. So sorry, I couldn't read my writing. And you should be able to learn and make mistakes. I see limitless potential that deserves to flourish and thrive. And you should be able to make mistakes and learn and live a life of joy. What a wonderful thing to say. Not having to worry about what's going to happen when you walk down the street, or you go for a jog, or you're driving down the street, or you're looking at some kind of bird in a park. I hope you also feel hopeful, as you may feel angry, because you have the potential to make things better. And you have helped to make the entire country feel as if this is something that's got to change. You've communicated a sense of urgency. You've communicated a sense of urgency that is as powerful and as transformative as anything I've seen in recent years. So I just want to put Obama's speech in, you know, with this idea of creating a field of encouragement and possibility and potential. And that this is all those Bandura's beliefs. You're capable, you deserve, it's worthwhile, it's possible. You know, what you can do can be appropriate and ecological to make this happen. He's just captured that whole package in like 3 sentences. So I find that really kind of wonderful. So, I mean, I'm not going to say that much more really, other than, again, in terms of talking about the mindset, to look to kind of like model what is happening when a man can be literally, over a period of 8-9 minutes, literally murdered on the streets in front of people in public. What is going on? Why would that be normal? Why would that be sort of, those people would come to feel that that was okay? This is where we're interrogating a whole field of beliefs that didn't just happen yesterday. You know, this is like, you know, 400 years of beliefs that have kind of permeated their way into all of us, into everybody, you know, into every institution. So it's a big task, I think. It is a kind of virus of its own, held in the field, that some people are more important than others, that some people's lives really do matter more than others. And this kind of systemic oppression is kind of baked into our lives in such a way that we barely even really notice it unless we're on the noticing end of it, as it were, unless we're at that point. And I know particularly if you're in London, a lot of people have Black family, a lot of people are Black, a lot of people, you know, kind of work in we're a very multicultural place. I live in the borough that is the most multicultural borough in the most multicultural city in the world. So but this is a big thing that it is up to all of us now to kind of heal this virus in our whole society. And of course, then you have confirmation bias in any belief that is self-fulfilling prophecy. People pick out selective evidences to back up why they think some people are more superior, some people more inferior. And that's how beliefs work on a kind of cultural level. So I just wanted to say that, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and I think if you're in the more oppressed group, you internalize these beliefs, and that also needs healing. I think there's a lot of research and evidence now that a lot of people of color have ongoing post-traumatic stress, anxieties, and disorders because of this cumulative effect of particularly seeing young Black people kind of killed in the street and things. I do want to say this week in the UK, and I don't know if it's everywhere, on Kindle, the Financial Times Book of the Year, Superior, The Return of Race Science by Angela Saini is free. It's a free resource on Kindle. The Return of Race Science, Superior. So that's just to let everybody know. And if you're, again, in the UK and you're a BBC Radio 4 listener, Adam Rutherford, who's part of the science department in Radio 4, has just come out with a book called How to Argue with a Racist. So again, I think these are accessible kind of books. You know, there's a lot coming out, but these are kind of quite accessible books. So, and I also want, I don't know whether she's here, I can't see, but obviously one of our community is a Christian pastor in a church in Southside Chicago, Patty, and we're particularly thinking of her. Her neighborhood is currently locked down, and so we're sort of, you know, praying for her and her community very much. So so I think that's what I wanted to say about that. That again, it's a mindset. It's there. It's kind of inside everybody. We're kind of carrying it somehow. And it's like how to think about how to update and change and bring something really new into the field of potential for every human being. So I also want to talk about health, and again, these kind of placebo, nocebo. And I just wanted to say, in the same way our societies are designed to heal, our bodies are designed to heal. And the issue is how to support this process. There's a lovely process that is in the Sleight of Mouth book, which I thought I would read you. And then I've got like a little exercise for us to do at the end. And it's just these connective words where you start, and it's building like your own affirmations to try and trigger the placebo response. And it takes these connectives like because, therefore, whenever, so that, although, if, in the same way that. And it goes, health, and the opening statement is, health is important and desirable. Health is important and desirable. And then because, and then what's your answer? Health is important and desirable, therefore I, da 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 da. So I'll just read out the kind of potential answers, and then, because it's a really, really nice piece, I think, which fits with what we're doing. So this is an example from this book. Health is important and desirable because I need strength and energy in order to create and survive. Health is important and desirable. Therefore, I'll begin the appropriate steps to take care of myself. Health is important and desirable whenever I want to be prepared for the future. Health is important and desirable so that I can enjoy myself and be a good role model for others. Health is important and desirable if I want to be happy and productive. Health is important and desirable, although I have other goals and responsibilities to be fulfilled. Health is important and desirable in the same way that I need the necessary foundations and resources to reach my dreams. So this is what it comes out as a whole piece. Health is important and desirable. I need strength and energy in order to create and survive. I will begin the appropriate steps to take care of myself. I want to be prepared for the future. I can enjoy myself and be a good role model for others. I want to be happy and productive. Although I have other goals and responsibilities to be fulfilled, I need the necessary foundations and resources to reach my dreams. So I think that's a nice way to start building your own health affirmations to trigger and sustain and keep mobilizing the placebo mind-body response, to trigger our bodies that know deeply how to heal and recover from illness, and to stay, you know, immunologically strong and robust to be able to do that. So then in the last part of this, I wanted to say there's such a lot to say about the structure of beliefs. Obviously, we go to the meta model. There's complex equivalences and cause effects. Those of you that don't know NLP, this sounds like complete gobbledygook, but the cause effects is when you're looking at X causes Y, this leads to this. If you do this, then this will happen. It's this whole expectations. What do I need to do in order to produce that? What has caused this? How we build that system of logic inside ourselves in terms of beliefs determines a lot about the inner world that we're construing and constructing. The same thing with what in NLP metamodel is called complex equivalences, which is how we make meaning out of things. We see, hear, think something, and it means something to us. And that becomes our map, a map of meanings. And then also in terms of the structure of beliefs, again, there's a brilliant Robert Dilts model in which he puts the values, the value that the belief serves, the positive intention, the kind of state that you're in when you're able to have certain beliefs and not others, the evidences that you base your beliefs on, which of course something like CBT works a lot with the evidence base for how do you sustain a limiting belief, what are you using as evidence. They're looking to promote positive evidences for positive beliefs and sort of demote, you know, sort of delusional evidences, one-time evidences for negative types of beliefs. And then also following on, if I have this belief, what does that lead to? What are the expectations that it leads to? And there's an always in there because it's an overall generalizing category that becomes a feeding forward self-fulfilling prophecy. So on the individual level, often when you know there's a limiting belief, it's like these issues of helpless, worthless, hopeless come up. I mean, there's more to say, but again, this is part of this Bandura work that Obama is addressing. You know, don't be helpless. Don't feel you're worthless. You matter. You know, don't be hopeless. We can do something. And I love Robert Dilts's sort of overall thing, which is the output. And I may have said this before on this little podcast, the winning beliefs, an expectation of a positive future, a sense of capability and responsibility, and a sense of self-worth and belonging. This is what we are heading for when we're ever coaching someone or we're working towards healing and you know, transforming potentially limiting beliefs. I've got like 4 minutes to cover reimprinting and, you know, everything else, which I won't try and do. But what I will do is say the best book on reimprinting, which is the best sort of thing, is this book, Strategies of Genius on Freud by Robert Dilts. It's one of my all-time favorite NLP books. Lots of things about how you transform limiting beliefs. You can't argue with them. People will argue back, you know. So you have to like work around shifting the perceptual position, shifting the time frames, going to reframe what's the positive intention and values that are being held. Sometimes there are new answers to like how to type capability questions. So there are new cause-effect structures, new complex equivalent structures, new overall generalizations to build in this kind of process. And often even updating key relationships, which is what the reimprinting process is, this kind of sponsorship thing. So here, our exercise in 2 minutes that you can take away, hopefully, and do something with, is to go, what would be a goal that you have in relationship to health and well-being of, you know, the body politic and the social, our social field, and or your own health and well-being at the sort of immuno kind of level. As I say, I think these things are actually related. So the idea is that these beliefs come up when you have a goal. When you have a goal, then potentially these areas of potential doubt start to surface. And these are the questions that you can mark 1 to 5 according to how strongly you rate your belief. Like, is your goal possible? Whatever the goal is that you've set, is it possible? 1 to 5. Are you capable? 1 to 5. Do you deserve it? 1 to 5. Is it worthwhile? 1 to 5. Can you take responsibility for making it happen? 1 to 5. Is what you would have to do to achieve it appropriate and ecological? Again, you're just mapping out these beliefs behind the beliefs that start to surface in relation to a goal. And then you start to have these kind of areas of doubt. Very, very interesting. Like, where are your lower numbers, if you have any? And then there's a very nice process. Again, it's a Robert Dilts process. So much of this work is done by him. And it's particularly, it's in the Sleight of Mouth book. I think it's also in the lovely Coach to Awaken book. And so then instead of trying to argue with somebody, oh no, you are capable, of course it's possible, you say, what else would you need to know? Is there some missing information? What else would you need to know or to add? Like, what might be missing, or to believe? What might be another type of belief that if you had it would make you more congruent and confident about this belief in relation to this goal? And it's just a great, great activity. And then you ask who would be a mentor for that belief, and then what message or advice would that mentor have for you? And it's a beautiful process. And I hope if you managed to make a few notes, or you can download this from the encyclopedia online, free NLPU encyclopedia. I think it's all there. So this is like a really rapid kind of overview of this very intangible area that determines so much of our experience in the world, both in the social phase of our world and the relational communication at the kind of intangible level, but also in terms of our own development and maturation and well-being and health. And so I hope you've got some things from that that are really going to be helpful for you. Again, I'll just finish by saying Obama's words, I want you to know that you matter. I want you to know that your lives matter and that your dreams matter. I see limitless potential that deserves to flourish and thrive. And I think that's a good way to, you know, go forward in the day if you're in the morning in the UK, and to take some of this work on beliefs, explore it further and more deeply, and help ourselves and each other. So next week, So I'll hang around for a little bit afterwards, and so will Muriel. Next week, I'm going to do something on the wisdom of the body, particularly in relation to Alexander technique, which is my practice of the practice. And I hope you have a happy and good and healthy week, everybody. It's lovely to see you all again. And from me and from Muriel. Oh, I'm going like this. Actually, I need to go like this to me. But have a lovely week, and we'll see you next time. We'll be here for about 10-15 minutes afterwards if people want to chat.